Imagine that in just 5 days, you could improve your personal impact, your influence, stand out better as a leader or as a future leader. Not only that, you'd feel more confident having that tricky conversation that you might have been putting off, or chatting with a senior leader who puts the fear of God into you. In this video, I'm going to share how a 5-day communication challenge can step change your personal impact. I'll take you step by step through what you need to do so that over just one working week, you improve every conversation you have. But first of all, we need to face into why improving communication skills is such a challenge. Think about it, we communicate all the time. And these skills, it's not rocket science, is it? I could tell you right now, ask better questions, listen more, be more concise. You would know what to do, but that doesn't mean that you would be able to consistently do it. You see, communication is a habitual skill, by which I mean we tend not to think about how we do it, we just do it. And like any habit, it's deeply ingrained and often unconscious. We develop our communication patterns over years, picking up both good and bad habits along the way. Plus, there's a big gap between knowing what we should do and actually doing it. We might learn new techniques, but without consistent practice afterwards, we quickly fall back into our old patterns. And this is where most people fall down. Knowing what we should do makes us feel quite good. It's reassuring, isn't it? But actually, if we start practicing or experimenting different ways of doing something, we push ourselves out of our comfort zone, and that might not feel quite so nice. So as a consequence, we can easily put it off, waiting for that perfect moment to practice. Well, let me tell you, that moment is never going to come along. You're much better off looking for micro practice moments to focus on, experimenting with your new skills every day. This is where this challenge helps you. Moreover, communication involves juggling multiple skills: listening, speaking, body language, empathy, all working together. We need to address all aspects of our communication to really get better at it. And that's why a structured daily practice over a period like 5 days can be so effective. In fact, the joy of this challenge is that you do it as you work. You don't need any extra time. So how does it work? First, before we start, set your goals for the 5 days. Start by writing down 3 specific communication habits you want to improve this week. Maybe it's maintaining eye contact, or using fewer filler words, or interrupting less, maybe asking more open-ended questions. Choose whatever is most important to you, and also think about the benefits that, if you were to be able to do that, it would give you. The better you know what you want to achieve and why it is important to you, the more deep your learning will be. It also helps to have a notebook wherever you go, so you can take notes and capture your insights as you go along. Okay, day 1 is about setting the foundations for your communication challenge. So imagine you're walking into a room full of strangers. It's like one of those big networking events. Suddenly you feel your mouth go a little dry, a nervous flutter comes in your stomach. You're scrambling, thinking of something interesting to say. What's happening here is you've suddenly become conscious of your communication. You've broken out of your unconscious habits. Every gesture, tone, or word, both yours and everyone else's, seems to be highlighted. That's exactly where we're aiming to be today. Day 1 is about self-awareness and observation, and it's so powerful. So here's what you need to do. You're just going to be a conversation explorer. Throughout your day, pay close attention to how you and others communicate. Notice body language, tone of voice, word choices in various situations. Jot down quick notes as you go along. What you see is working and things that you see are less effective. And at the end of the day, spend just a few minutes reflecting on what you notice. Look at your notes. What patterns did you see in yourself? What effective communication techniques did you see in other people? When did you feel most confident? When did you feel least confident? And why might this be? The key takeaway from day 1 is that awareness is the first step to improvement. By sharpening your observation skills, keeping a conscious mindset, you're laying the groundwork for the days ahead. Remember, this isn't about judging yourself or anyone else. It's about gathering valuable data that we often overlook, but will help inform the communication challenge as you progress through it. On day 2 of our challenge, we're focusing on one of the most crucial, yet often overlooked aspects of effective communication: listening. There's a listening ladder that defines the stages of listening effectiveness. Many of us spend far too much time on the lower rungs. So I'd like you to meet Mark. Mark is a successful manager, but he hasn't quite mastered the art of consistently climbing this ladder yet. See if you recognize some of these behaviors in yourself. So Mark is always busy. His phone is constantly in his hand. He sits down with a colleague and asks how their weekend was. As they start to reply, his phone pings. Mark looks at it, reads it. His colleague notices and cuts short their reply. Mark carries on, oblivious. Mark has failed at the first rung of the ladder. He wasn't even listening. In our busy lives, we face many distractions. If you want to listen, you need to eliminate them, especially phones and notifications, and focus on the person you're talking with. Mid-morning, Mark joins a Teams meeting with his colleagues to discuss an upcoming project. They always follow the same meeting format, so Mark thinks, I'll just get these emails done at the same time. Every now and then, he looks up into the camera and nods, showing he's still there, but he's not really present. And this becomes painfully clear when he hears his name. He looks at the camera and the screen, realizing he has no idea what's been asked, though he knows for sure he's supposed to answer. Mark has failed at the second round. Nodding and pretending to listen won't cut it. You can't multitask and listen well. The brain simply is not cut out for it. Just after lunch, Mark meets Kate from marketing to discuss an upcoming promotion. As Kate begins explaining her concerns about the marketing strategy, Mark's mind starts racing. He thinks to himself, I know exactly how to address this. While Kate continues speaking, Mark is lost in thought about how they could implement his idea. He's so focused on his own thoughts that he completely misses Kate mentioning a potential partnership. Here, Mark is in the danger zone of the ladder. It's called selective listening. This happens when you think you know the answer, especially if you have a lot of knowledge and expertise. I'm telling you, it's so easy to distract ourselves by thinking about what we want to say rather than listening to what's being said, thus missing the most important part of the other person's message. Finally, at 3:00, Mark has a meeting with his direct report. As Gino starts speaking about a customer challenge, Mark makes a conscious effort to listen. He puts his phone away, he maintains eye contact, he nods encouragingly, he doesn't interrupt. He just asks a few clarifying questions, letting Gino fully explain the situation. And when he's finished, instead of immediately offering a solution, Mark pauses and says, let me make sure I understood this correctly. He then summarizes what Gino said, and Gino lights up, realizing that Mark has really heard his concerns. This is where Mark reaches the top of the ladder. He's actively listening. And the challenge of this is it takes energy and focus. Think about it. When was the last time you were in a conversation and you felt truly heard? It's such a powerful experience, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's often a rare one. So we're going to change that on day 2. I want you to practice active listening in your conversations today. Focus entirely on what the other person is saying. Don't just hear the words, but try and understand the meaning behind them. Avoid interrupting. I know it's a common habit. I do it. But interrupting sends a clear message that you value your thoughts more than theirs. Today, make a conscious effort to let the other person finish their thoughts before you speak. Give people space and time to answer. Remember, the goal isn't to be silent, but to create space where the other person feels heard and understood. At the end of the day, reflect on what you've discovered. How did people react when you focus more on listening? Did you learn anything new about your colleagues or friends? How did it feel to resist the urge to interrupt? Remember to write down what you've learned. By enhancing your listening skills, you're not just improving your communication, you're building stronger and more meaningful relationships. And that's so powerful in both your personal and your professional life. Day 3 of our communication challenge, we're going to learn how to question like a ninja. Why ninjas? Because like these stealthy warriors, we're going to master the art of gathering information swiftly, efficiently, and with precision. Effective questioning is a superpower in communication. It allows you to truly understand a situation, uncover hidden information that people may be hesitant to share, and does something much deeper. It shows that you have a genuine interest in other people. As a consequence, it builds trust and stronger relationships. But not all questions are created equal. So here's how we're going to question like a ninja. First, think of a funnel. And you're going to use this to help guide your conversations as you dig down into the conversation. Start at the top of the funnel by using open-ended questions. So these begin with how, what, why, where, when. Or use statements like tell me about. Next, funnel down with probing questions. Think of these like your ninja nunchucks, helping you dig deeper. When someone gives you a brief answer, follow up with more questions. For example, can you tell me more about that? Or what makes you say that? There's a second set of questions you can then deploy. Closed questions. These ones are the ones that get the answer yes or no. And they start with did you, is it, will you, have you. These are brilliant for clarifying and confirming that you understood. So day 3's challenge is to be a question ninja. In your conversations, consciously use these questioning techniques. Pay attention to how people respond. Remember, the goal isn't to interrogate, but to understand. So use your newfound ninja questioning skills respectfully. At the end of the day, reflect on your experiences. How did people react to your questions? Did you uncover any surprising information? How did it feel to approach conversations with this level of curiosity and engagement? By mastering the art of questioning, you're not just improving your communication, you're opening up deeper understanding and more meaningful connections. These skills are brilliant for solving disagreements and getting to the root cause of a problem. And that's a ninja level skill in any leader's life. Day 4 of our challenge is all about mastering the art of summarising. This is such a powerful skill, and again, it's often overlooked. A summary is like a communication GPS. It helps you confirm that you're on the right track, and it ensures everyone is in the same place. This is a skill that I see the best leaders use to help them reframe problems and stand out in meetings by their ability to move the session along with a beautiful clarity bomb. It works because it confirms understanding. By restating the key points, you've shown that you have been actively listening and processing the information. It clarifies misunderstandings, so if there's any confusion, summarising can give the other person a chance to correct it or clarify their point of view. As a consequence, again, it builds trust. So this is how to pull off the perfect summary. First, listen actively. Pay close attention to the key points of the conversation. And as you go, identify the most important points or core messages. I find mind maps can be particularly useful here in meetings. And then just restate what you heard in your own words. Now, don't just repeat it word for word, paraphrase it to show that you've processed that information, but be as concise as you possibly can. So your challenge for day 4 is to practice summarising in your conversations. At natural pauses or the end of discussions, take a moment to summarise what might have been said. It may just be a sentence. Pay attention to how this affects the flow of the conversation and the level of understanding between you and others. Again, at the end of the day, reflect on your experience. Remember, the goal of summarising isn't to show off and how well I've listened, but ensure clear, aligned communication. This brings us to day 5 of our challenge, and this is where you're going to put everything we've learned together into practice. And this is where the magic happens. So this is what I want you to do. Choose a significant conversation that you're going to have that day. Pick an important meeting or a one-on-one with a colleague or a discussion with a friend or family member. And then, before the conversation, just remind yourself of the skills that you've been practicing and then have the conversation. After your conversation, take some time to reflect. What went well and what do you need to work on to get even better? What have you learned from this exercise as a whole? What skills or actions would make the biggest difference if you were to keep focusing on it? and practice some more. Remember, becoming a great communicator is a journey, not a destination. These skills will continue to improve with practice. The key is to keep conscious and use them consistently in your daily interactions. Look for those micro practice moments. Remember, you are changing habits. So think about what actions you will continue to focus on over the coming month as you build up your muscle memory about doing things in a new way. If you were to keep focused on these skills for just 12 weeks, that's just 90 days, you would be amazed at how your communication skills have developed. I mentioned earlier that you can do this either on your own or as a team. If you want to do this as a team, just share the video and then launch it so you all do it the same week. At the end of the week, have a session together so everyone can share what they have learned and what they're going to continue to focus on. This massively encourages accountability to keep everyone practicing for a little bit longer. Let me know how you get on in the comments. There's another complementary way to improve your communication skills, and that is understanding more about your personal communication style. And in this video here, I share a simple and effective way to understand your personal style and how it fits with others. So I definitely go there next to focus on this career-defining skill.